Nithyanandam everyone! Welcome back to the Kundalini Yogini. This is Prasiddha. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Life has been so beautiful, so full, so productive, and I appreciate your guys' patience as I'm putting out videos. Hopefully you guys are following my other social media, especially my Instagram and TikTok at Kundalini Yogini Prasiddha. So I'm really much more active on there as per YouTube. So definitely make sure to follow those if you want to stay updated. But today, what we're going to be talking about is diving deep into some authentic yoga practices, specifically a breathing technique or breath control known as pranayama in Sanskrit. And this technique is called Sheetali or Sheetali Pranayama. This is a technique which is used in yoga and Ayurveda as a healing breath for particular things, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to do this, the benefits, and the scriptural reference for this practice. The first scriptural reference or Shastra Pramana I'm going to share with you guys is from the Sandila Upanishad, verse 13 to 14, and it's describing Sheetali Pranayama as drawing in the air through the tongue, holding in the kumbhaka as long as possible. The yogin should expel it through the nostrils. Therefore, liberated from dyspepsia, enlargement of the spleen, fever, biliousness, hunger, and the like are all destroyed. It also goes on to say in the Darshan Upanishad, verse 25 to 26, that he who always drinks the air by inhaling it through the tongue, that yogin will have immunity from disease and from fatigue and thirst. So all of these pramanas are sharing about the power, the immunity, and the calmness of this pranayama. So this technique is actually designed particularly for pacifying Pitta Dosha. Pitta Dosha is predominantly the element of fire. So it is a very hot and can be a hyperactive kind of dosha in that regard, physically and mentally. So what this pranayama is actually targeted towards is balancing the pitta of the body and also of the mind, which we also call as rajas. So this hyperactive thoughts, cutting thoughts, self-deprecating thoughts that we might be having, this pranayama actually targets those thoughts and reduces them, simmers them down, calms them, and cools them. And emotionally, of course, it can really help to pacify agitation and anger. So if you feel yourself getting really aggravated or irritated, it's a great little technique to take a little, space for, take a few minutes and practice this in your room, or practice this, step out of your office and practice this. Because ultimately, this Sheetali Pranayama is an extremely cooling breath. So that's something you really should take note of. Because if you're already suffering from a cold, or you are a Vata or Kapha person who runs really cold-blooded, this isn't something you're necessarily going to practice every day. So keep that in mind. But if you're a Pitta constitution, Pitta Prakriti, or you have a Pitta imbalance, or it's summertime and you're feeling really hot, or if you're overheated and you're outdoors, it is an amazing practice to implement a solution to actually cool the temperature of the body and cool the mind. So how you perform this pranayama is very straightforward actually. All you have to do is roll the tongue like a taco, like a taco shape, like so. And what you're going to do is inhale the breath through the tongue and exhale slowly through the nostrils. And ultimately, you want to practice that as slowly as you can. Obviously, for time's sake, I'm not going to do it really, really drawn out. But try to inhale as slowly as possible, retain the breath as comfortably as you can, and exhale as slowly as possible. And that is Sheetali Pranayama. So simply, you just have to roll the tongue, inhale slowly through the tongue, and exhale slowly through the nostrils. Now, again, this technique is sometimes referred to as Sheetali or Sheetali Pranayama. And one adjustment, which is important to note, if you're not able to roll your tongue, there is another way you can practice another pranayama which has the identical benefits of Sheetali Pranayama, but it's performed a little bit differently. This is called Sheetali Pranayama. And this pranayama, you actually inhale through the teeth and exhale through the nose, like so. So you can see the technology of the breath is obviously very, very similar. And so there's almost identical benefits. So if you're not able to roll your tongue, you can always practice that pranayama as an option. I hope that this tutorial and explanation was helpful for you all to start practicing this very powerful breathwork technique. And hopefully you can implement it, share it with others who it might be beneficial for. Again, especially according to Ayurveda, we often assign this pranayama to somebody who has a pitta imbalance, people that suffer from acidity, acid reflux, inflammation, heat in the body, hot flashes, and even skin disorders or acne, because all of these things are related to the heat in the body. And by doing this pranayama, we are cooling the internal fire, pacifying the pitta, pacifying the rajasic hyperactive mind. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Let me know your comments and questions down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you, especially related to this pranayama and technique, of course. And you can connect with me on social media, on all the other social media platforms for more info. And again, if you are interested in learning more about your dosha or prakriti, your constitution, and you want to know what imbalances you might have and how to balance them holistically and naturally through Ayurveda, you can book me for a consultation at the link down below in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Nithyanandam, everyone.